Rental car prices are crazy expensive lately. Between the general inflation trend and just the surge in travel demand, renting a car these days can be brutal. Today, we're going to talk about how to save money on rental cars. I recently did a big deep dive on rental car prices. I looked at 360 reservations across the major airports, across major rental car companies, and across a range of dates to find out some really interesting trends. And I've got a whole different video out there going through that trend data that I definitely recommend you check out. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but I do want to give you sort of the TLDR. In general, I've found that you don't actually save much money booking in advance versus last minute. In fact, sometimes you can find a better deal if you book last minute. As far as the cheapest place to rent a car, I looked at the largest major airports, and Chicago is the most expensive, while Charlotte, North Carolina is the cheapest. And you can always rent a car at the airport, but sometimes you can rent a car downtown, and I found it's almost always cheaper to book a rental car downtown. But those are general trends, and I know that you don't often have a choice about when and where you rent a car from. So if you are stuck renting from a specific location, you can still save money. Let me tell you how. First, be smart about the credit card that you use to actually book your rental car reservation. Many travel cards offer bonus points on travel-related spending, and typically rental cars count as travel-related spending. You can typically expect to earn rewards back of between 2 and 6% in the form of points and miles. Rewards rate vary by credit card, so check with your bank, but typically this is a great way to earn rewards for purchases that you're likely already making. Check on NerdWallet.com, as there are credit card comparison tools that can help you rate the value of the annual fee versus the rewards rate and see which credit card is best for you. But there's another benefit on credit cards that I think is actually more beneficial when it comes to rental cards than just the rewards rates. Rental car insurance. When you book a rental car, the person at the counter is probably going to ask you if you want to purchase rental car insurance. This is a more expensive add-on, and you definitely want to have some sort of rental car insurance, but you might not actually have to purchase it from the counter. If you paid for your rental car reservation on a credit card that offers this as a benefit, simply decline coverage at the counter and your rental car's insurance will kick in and cover it instead. Besides credit cards, I also want you to look into any sort of affiliations that you have. If you have a membership affiliation with maybe an alumni or your work, you can often get discounts through these sorts of membership programs. Additionally, I encourage you to check out AAA. AAA offers discounts with Hertz, and here's another reason why I love AAA is if you are a young driver. AAA members, when booking with Hertz, get their young driver fees waived if they're between the ages of 21 and 24. This is particularly beneficial if you are taking a long road trip, maybe you're driving home from college and you have many days out on the road. That's another awesome way to save money. Most major car rental companies have a company loyalty programs. These can unlock loyalty member-only discounts as well as other benefits like the ability to skip the lines or get free upgrades. Now, I know I said that National has among the most expensive car rental prices, but they also have among the best loyalty programs. Members with Executive Elite status get 1 free car rental day for every 5 car rentals made. That's on top of other benefits like private airport delivery. Another thing I want you to consider is skipping the traditional car rental company completely and looking to car rental alternatives. These tend to be peer-to-peer car sharing companies like Turo or Getaround, where you're actually renting a car owned by another real person, just like you or me. Then we're also finding that car dealers also will rent out their cars. Audi Silvercar makes this super easy. Their car rental company service allows you to actually rent out Audis from a dealer. Now, there are plenty of pros and cons that go with these car rental alternatives, so I'll lay some of them out. First, the pros is location. You typically won't rent these from a specific facility, but they're spread out all around town, especially with the peer-to-peer car sharing service. You might be renting the car from someone's own driveway. This can be convenient. If you're staying nearby where that person lives, it might be a lot easier than getting all the way to the car rental facility, which might be back at the airport. Another thing around convenience is actual time to rent out the car. With a rental car company, you're tied to the hours that it's open, which might be, 9 to 5, maybe 8 to 8. And, I often find renting on a Sunday from downtown, car rental companies have really, really bad hours. The great thing about a lot of these peer-to-peer car rental services is that they actually allow you to unlock and book the car from your phone. Now, with that means that you could probably rent the car at any hour of the day. If you need to to rent a car at 2 a.m.? Well, you unlock it with your phone, so you're not tied to some employee actually being there at 2 a.m. to help you get the car. You can rent out the car when it's convenient to you. Speaking of convenience, you might also be able to have the car delivered to you. Some car sharing services actually advertise that the owner will be able to bring the car to you. Now, it can vary even within the cars between that service, but I rented a car through Turo, and the owner actually advertised that they could bring their car to me. I did this in Hawaii, where I needed a car for just a day. Parking at my Hawaiian resort was super expensive, and I wasn't gonna use the car other than just going on one hike. So I had the owner deliver the car to me. I did the hike, I drove back, and the owner picked it up, and I was able to avoid expensive parking fees. Another expense that you might be able to avoid is underage driver fees. Now, this isn't true with every car rental alternative, but many of them don't charge the extra fees for drivers, which is common for drivers under 25 to get an extra fee at traditional rental car companies. You might not see that with these car rental alternatives. Finally, my last fun point is that with car rental alternatives, you can often rent out super fun cars. You might not necessarily see a Tesla for rent at, say, Alamo, but with these car rental alternatives, you can find those really exciting, fun cars that you want to drive on your travels. Now, those are all the pros, but there are also cons that go with these car rental alternatives. Number one is be aware of the cell service. Many of these cars require cell service to unlock them. If you are traveling in a place that doesn't have cell service, say you are in the mountains somewhere, don't rely on that to be able to enter your car. And if you're traveling in a foreign country where maybe you're not paying for cell service, also keep that in mind. Another thing, they aren't necessarily always cheaper, especially when you account for other costs. Some of these car rental alternatives have varying costs for extra fees. I'm talking things like cleaning fees. Sometimes these aren't necessarily advertised upfront, so just go through and make sure you fully understand the costs. Another cost is car rental insurance. So I mentioned that credit cards can often cover car rental insurance for your rental cars, but many credit cards will not cover car rental insurance for these car rental alternatives. Again, just make sure you read the terms and conditions so you understand what's covered, but realize that if you're not paying for car rental insurance from a standard credit card company because you think that your credit card is going to cover it, just realize that you might still have to pay for it with these alternative companies. We've talked so much about rental car prices, and I will be candid with you. Rental car prices are at all-time highs, especially since the pandemic. They started going up, and they are still going up. Rental car prices are higher than they've ever been before. Now, traditionally, you might think when I'm booking a trip, the order of operations is to book the flight first, then the hotel, then maybe do the rental car last minute. These days, my advice is to turn that on its head and book your trip backwards. I actually recommend looking into rental car prices before you book anything. You might get super married to going on a trip because you found, say, an amazing $49 flight deal to Vegas, and you think you're gonna do a road trip to the Grand Canyon, only to find that rental car prices out of Vegas are more than you can afford. I say book your trip backwards, make sure that the rental car is within your budget, then find airfare after that. I'm Sally French, a travel writer for NerdWallet. I'm a Costco member, so I typically use that to book my rental cars. Costco Travel tends to have great deals, and I can get bonus rewards on my Costco credit card. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.